colour, style, awkwardness. These are some of the traits that make Jackie Foster. This Sep will be talking to Jackie about her eccentric, interesting paintings and illustrations and how she's coping with recent global craziness. Welcome to JLP Creator Sessions Ep 4. Thank you, Jackie, for joining me. A bit of a different setup today as we're doing a virtual interview and isolation conversation. Firstly, thanks for joining again. Tell me and my viewers about yourself and what you do.
So my name is Jackie. I go under my business name of Jacqueline Foster Art. I'm a visual artist in Geelong. I specialise in abstract acrylics. I do a little bit of fine line work, and I'm currently selling my work through the Block shop, which is really cool. There's my quick bio.
Perfect. So how did you get into the creative world that you're in now? Like, what made you start experimenting with all this creative stuff? Well,
this is, how long is this interview?
We've got as long as we need.
All right. So I grew up in Mildura, which is a little country town. Yep. We're going way back. And I grew up doing art. Like I dominated in like colouring in competition world. Like I don't meant to gloat, but I was amazing. I think I even once designed like a sultana packet.
Really?
Like as
cool.
Yeah. Fun fact. So I would study in my VCE, like I did visual communication, I did art, studio arts. I sold my first painting at like 15. Like my year 10 project was like this massive painting of this rose, and someone bought it, and I was like, I bought a Razor scooter with the money. So yes, I did art all growing up, and then I turned 18, and I think I really fell into that trap of you need a career. And not doing art. So I began studying occupational therapy, which had its warning signs that I didn't like it from very, very early on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't turn up, or I'd turn up really late to lectures. Like I wouldn't do pre-readings and stuff like that. But a lot of people said, it gets better. Like, you'll like it more as it goes along. And I had a couple of mental health dips. Like my dad got sick, and I kind of put it down to kind of what was happening around me. And I deferred my final. Sorry, is this really long-winded? It's all relevant.
No, that's part of the story.
Okay. So it had come to my final year, and I don't know, I really wasn't interested in it. People around me were wanting to register with APRA. I don't know if you know what APRA is.
No.
It's like Australian Health Practitioners Register or something.
Right.
And I just remember sitting around going, I don't want to register. Oh no, like, what have I done? So I had my final placement to go in, and that was it. And I was like, all right, I'm in good mental health. I'm just going to knock this over. Doesn't matter if I don't use a degree or whatever. I'm just going to get through this. And I was about 5 weeks into the placement. I had 3 weeks to go, and my mental health, like I remember going to the doctors at like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, you need to medicate me to get me through these next couple of weeks. And this doctor was so rude. Like, he was so rude, but he was so right. He goes, are you sleeping? And I said, yes. Are you eating well? Yes. Are you socializing? Yes. And he looks at me and he's like, you're not anxious, you just hate what you do. And I was like, that's it. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. So I left uni, 3 weeks before I graduated, and then I worked for a couple of months, and then I literally walked back into Spotlight one day and started painting again. And then that one sold, and then the next one I painted sold, and then it just kind of kept going. And then it was the best decision. Like, that's life story.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the reason why I like talking to other creative people, because you'll find a lot of similarities in a lot of people's stories. Like, going through uni myself, as a kid, I always was like drawing and like playing around with stuff and doing creative things. And I got into uni for graphic design. Initially it was okay, but then, the real nitty gritty stuff of graphic design, like typeface and, laying out pages and stuff, it just wasn't what I wanted to do. And one of the courses at university there was photography unit. It was a product photography, and I had to get a camera to do that unit. And I went to the footy a lot during that time, and I took the camera by chance, a couple of weeks after getting it, and pretty much like a month later, I'd started my first Instagram account, and I was like taking photos at the footy. And then within the year, I'd started my business. So it's good to hear stories like that show like similarities. And I guess it gives me some inspiration in that regard, because I can see that, people might say like, oh, I didn't want to do this, and then I like threw it away and started doing what I love. And it's like, oh, that's sort of what I did. So it's good to know that people are on the same sort of journey as that. So
it's never too late.
With your art yourself, it can be difficult, especially if, like painterly art rather than, photographers obviously have a style as well, but painting, it's all style. So how did you go finding, your genre or your style of paintings? Because they're quite eclectic and colourful.
Thank you. That's a great question. When I started, I don't know if you've heard of, name drop, Chris de Hoog. I don't know if you know, he's a local Geelong artist who I knew his brother at the time, and his art was amazing. And I just thought, you know what, if I could just take some kind of inspiration, put some paint down on a canvas, like I will be stoked. And that's kind of where I started, really. And I really like the concept of abstract. I kind of tend to steer away from realism, because I like producing something that 10 people can look at what I paint and 10 people can have completely different interpretations of what I've painted. So I think that definitely drives a lot of what I do. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny how just different inspirational sources can lead to different results in someone's artwork. But certainly the style of the colour pretty much represents you pretty well. So
perceive my work.
Yeah.
Like how you're just saying it's colourful. Yeah. Like, yeah.
It's a reflection of you.
No. Yeah. I'm looking at my earrings and I was like, actually, quite colourful.
What's the one thing about painting and creating that makes you love it and want to keep doing it?
I think because it's limitless. Like there's no boundaries to it. You can make it as little or as big and ridiculous and monstrous, or as minimal and refined as you want it. Like there are no rules, I guess. People can place rules on them, but you just do it for you. You can literally make it whatever you want it to be, and I think that's really cool. There's not a lot in life where you really have that kind of freedom.
Yeah.
That just went really philosophical.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. So you have your own YouTube channel or YouTube show that you've started recently, The Awkward Three. That is an interview style thing as well, similar to what I'm doing here, but it's got a very unique twist on it. How did you get to starting that, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so it's called The Awkward Three with Jackie. I love a play on words or anything that rhymes, so that kind of just fell into place. And I can't even remember how it came to me, but I basically, for anyone that hasn't watched it yet, it's called The Awkward Three with Jackie, and basically I sit down with, it can be a creative, it can be a small business owner, it's just basically anyone that's following their passion, and I just ask them 3 really unrelated random questions that I think in such a serious world we don't consider, like for example, if you were a block of cheese, like what kind of cheese would you be and why? Like, as adults, we don't ask those kind of questions.
I've eaten enough of it that I'll probably turn into one day.
Which one? What kind?
Double cream brie, for sure.
That is so fancy.
I
know. So that's what I do. And I'll be doing it via Zoom as well, which is it's a real weird, it's really lovely, but it's a real weird setting. I'm so used to, like you kind of being at their space and seeing what people do, but
the couple that I've watched, there's like the moments when you're just laughing and you do that like ugly laugh because you're laughing so much. Like it's not you specifically, but like when you are laughing with another person that way, like it's so funny to watch other people doing that. And it is such like an interesting and different sort of interview style that I think, well, I certainly found it funny, and it is really interesting. So good work. It's been very funny so far to watch them all.
I got a really lovely message from someone who said they were having a shit day, and they'd apparently just binged my interviews, and I was like, oh, I forget that people actually watch them.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of put it out there, and I'm like, all right, my part's done. But then when people watch them, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it is weird because you make the video, you edit it, you create it, you put it up, and you're like, all right, that's it. And you sort of forget that you're making it for an audience. And then when people do say like, oh, I watched your video the other day, it was so cool. It's like, oh, well,
you're like,
shucks,
oh,
thanks. Like,
thank you.
You don't expect like real life people to come back and say like that they've watched it. They're just like a number that's watched it. But yeah, that certainly is interesting.
Yeah, 100%.
So obviously you speak to a lot of creative people in those interviews and just in general life. What's the number one thing you get out of conducting those interviews or having conversations on a deeper level with creative people?
That is a great question, and it really depends on person to person. Probably the main thing that I got out of interviewing creatives specifically is being able to identify as a creative without putting that limitation on yourself or without dismissing yourself. So really owning the fact of, when someone goes, hey, what do you do? I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm a singer-songwriter. That's probably something that I learned a lot of, about owning it and kind of, I guess, stepping away from the assumptions that sometimes people have about being an artist or, it's not a real job. That has probably been one of the biggest takeaways that I've learned from those interviews.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, when you talk to people and you see the sort of similar story and the path that people take, it's good to know that there's other people around you who are on the same journey, and you sort of like are galvanized in that fact that what you're doing specifically isn't necessarily good or wrong or bad or right or whatever, but you know that it's the right thing for you to do. And when you see other people doing the same journey, like we both know Hogs as well, like, her speech is like, she had the big job and she didn't, necessarily like it. And now she's doing the thing that she loves, and it's like her passion and her calling. So she's like a great advocate for that. And I think we've both spoke to her at some point about that too. So
yeah.
Right now is obviously a pretty crazy time in the world, all over the world.
Yeah,
artists and small businesses have been hit pretty hard with that, as everyone else has. But being stuck at home now, how do you find yourself keeping yourself motivated to like keep the momentum up of being creative? Because I find that I've just started a full-time job recently, and now it's like, oh, I don't have time to go take photos or do any of that, and I have to like force myself to stay creative and keep the momentum up.
That's a great question. See, my life has done the opposite, I guess, in that I previously worked part-time, but I guess like on a casual basis. Yeah, I worked.
Yeah.
And my work I've been temporarily stood down. So I have a lot more time at the moment. And I would say that my art business is actually probably stepping up. Yeah. But I think because I'm in the space that it has to, like that, it will help supplement my income because it has stopped.
Yeah.
It's pushing me to step out of my comfort zone, to reach out to people that, say that I wouldn't normally reach out to for art opportunities. And I guess really try and utilize this time. But like, don't get me wrong, like I still have there are really shit days.
Yeah.
But probably my art has actually it's probably gone up a level, to be honest. Like, I couldn't sleep last night, so I decided to look up how to do my taxes at 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't know what.
That's very
But my art brain and my business brain is probably what's at the forefront of my mind right now. So that's definitely been a driver.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's sort of, a lot of people are in that, headspace of, oh, I've got nothing to do, so I better just start doing something to keep myself busy. And, with that, the big question mark that seems to be growing bigger and bigger every day is, we don't know when this is going to end or like when we'll go back to normal. We just got to keep, chugging through, I guess. So
Pretty much. I've eaten a lot of Easter bunnies whilst working as well, so that's kind of been like a perk of being in isolation over Easter.
Yeah, there's a couple of lint bunnies in my cupboard that I've got my eye on that aren't going to last
Yeah.
for the weekend. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I am very much looking forward. Obviously, you said before that you've just got signed up to the Block Shop, so your art is
Yes.
now going to be on the Block Shop.
Yes. So it's not on the show. They could potentially choose it, but I now sell through the Block Shop, basically.
That is cool. I very, very much hope that I do see some of your artwork on the block, because that would be very exciting.
That would be so exciting. I think I would just introduce myself and tell people that, like, hi, I'm Jackie. I was on the blog.
Yeah.
Like, really humble.
I can definitely see one of your artworks on, like, a nice brick wall or something cool and trendy.
Aww. Hopefully finding rich people that are cool and trendy.
Yes, cool and trendy in a cool way. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me on this virtual chat interview.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you for the second time, because we've only met once, but we've done a lot of online talking and working together in the future and talking more in the future. Yeah, thanks again for joining me.
No, thank you. It's been weird to be on like the receiving end of an interview.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably...
We'll have to do an awkward 3 and then I can interview you. But thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Make sure you check out Jackie on Instagram at Jacqueline Foster Art and on YouTube at Jacqueline Foster for the Awkward 3. Hope you enjoyed, guys. See you in the next one soon.